Hello, my name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and this is my channel. Have roots, will travel. I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Most of my videos will be about travel or understanding various locations. But in this special series, I'm focusing on a subject that is near and dear to my heart, the story of Les Filles du Roi, or the King's Daughters. I'll be focusing on individual biographies so that we can get to know as many of these amazing women as we can. Please let me know in the comments below if there is one fille du roi in particular you are interested in, and I'll try to move her to the front of the line. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click on the notifications alert, and like this video. That'll help me. So let's get started, shall we? Now, Les Filles du Roi was a program instituted by the New France government at the time. I've produced a series or a program called the program 2.0, which you can look at in my channel. So have a look at the channel, that particular video, because it will tell you everything that you kind of need to know about the background and what these women went through, how they were recruited, what happened once they got here, and all of that. So just to give you a better understanding of what was happening at that time in New France. Let's get to know the woman that we're featuring today. Her name is Anne Colin, and she is actually my 8 times great-grandmother. Now, what's Anne? Where's Anne from? Anne was born in 1647 in a small village called Bray-sur-Seine, which translates to Bray on the Seine, which of course is the famous river in France. Bray-sur-Seine is found in the Seine-et-Marne region, or department as it's called in France. This department is located in the Île-de-France region of north-central France. This region is very important historically due to its involvement with the Knights of the Templar, the various counts of the region of Champagne, and also some very important Jewish French history and persecutions that took place. Its history dates back to the 6th century and truly reflects the French history of conquest and fierce fighting. Even as late as World War II, the citizens of Bray-sur-Seine were awarded the Croix de Guerre, which means Cross of War, the Bronze Star, for their bravery during the occupation and their resistance to being conquered, which gives you some idea of the kind of people that she came from. The church where she would have been baptized is that of the Sainte Croix, which dates at least before 1000 AD. King Henry I rebuilt it in the 12th century. So you can see how old this region is. I've included a postcard of just early 19th century, and then also this is her birth certificate that I was able to find as well. Now, she now has to go to New France. Now, it doesn't appear that her parents passed away or her father passed away, but she was about 22 years old when she was recruited, and her dowry was valued at about 200 pounds. She arrived on the Saint Jean-Baptiste on the 30th of June, 1669. And who was her groom? His name was Vincent Boissoneau, dit Saint-Onge. He was born about 1637 in the small but very picturesque village of Saint-Surin-d'Uzay, which is now in the Charente-Maritime region of the Nouvelle-Aquitaine department of France. Historically, which means before the French Revolution, it belonged to the province of Saint-Onge, which is of course why Vincent took on the dit name that he did, to indicate where he was from. Always remember that deep name gives you some clues. The church where he would have been baptized is Saint-Surin and would have been built around the 12th century. Unfortunately for family genealogists, the entire village burnt to the ground less than a decade after Vincent left, taking with it all the records. It was rebuilt, and the church that you see the picture of is a reconstructed church from 1710, which to our North American eyes is very old, but to Europeans, just a drop in the bucket. A structure that did exist and remain was a wonderful 13th century castle that is pictured on the right middle of your screen. The left middle picture and bottom are of Saint-Surin as it exists today. Really beautiful village. You can just see the kind of place where he came from. And I also wanted to let you know that despite its smallness, it's actually the French capital of caviar. So next time you're eating caviar, and this is one of your family lines, you can take some ownership of it. Now, Vincent arrived in Canada in 1665 as part of the Carignan Regiment, and he stayed on in New France until he found a bride, Anne Colin, who he married on October 18, 1669, on the Ile d'Orléans on the small chapel of Saint Jean. And this, on the bottom left, is the marriage record. This is an example of the chapel that would have existed at that time. Now, Ile d'Orléans is located in the St. Lawrence River, about 3 miles east of downtown Quebec City. The island was one of the first parts of the province to be colonized by the French, and a large percentage of French Canadians can trace their ancestry to the early residents of this island. The island has actually been described as a microcosm of traditional Quebec and as the birthplace of Francophones in North America. Officials later changed the name to Ile d'Orléans in honor of the second son of King Francis I, who was Henry II, the Duke of Orleans. The island was also known as the Grande Île, Sainte Marie, and Saint Laurent for certain periods in the 17th, 18th centuries. I tell you this just in case you stumble across records and it has a different name. I want you to pay attention to the fact that it has been renamed a few times. Early French settlers were attracted to the island because of its fertile soil. In 1661, the first parish of Saint-Famille was founded, followed by another 4 parishes in 1679 through 1680. By 1685, there were about 1,200 mostly French inhabitants, and we have to include 917 animals. You can see on the map on the bottom left of the island and its proximity to the Quebec City. I've also included a map of the 6 regions. And if you are doing research in this area, it is important to note the various villages of Ile d'Orléans. It's not one cohesive place. So you've got Saint-Pierre, Saint-Laurent, Saint-Famille, Saint-Jean, Saint-François, Saint-Pétreuil. This is very important as you're doing the research to find out where they lived. And I've also included a fabulous map that includes exactly the land that Vincent and Anne would have had. And it's number 25, and it actually says, I've circled it in red, Vincent Boissoneau. And so he had some incredible land facing the river. So this was part of I believe because he was in Quebec for a few years before, he probably had time to accumulate enough money to purchase the concession. On the 3rd of August, 1678, a fire breaks out in the home of Vincent and Anne. Tragically, 3 of their youngest children perish in the fire. Philippe, Anne, and Renee, ages 5, 2, and 2 months, die in that fire. I can't even imagine. There are many fires during these periods, and as I've studied them, but this is the first time that a fire has actually engulfed the children of one of the people that I've been studying. So it's just particularly just heartbreaking, actually. But they persist. They go on. And they actually end up having 12 children, including the 3 that perished. So let's have a look at the family they created. Elizabeth marries René Soreau de Laurier and has 5 children, 3 of whom make it to adulthood. We have Jeanne-Marie, who is my 7 times great-grandmother, marries Jean-Baptiste Gélina, de Bellemare, and has 9 children, all of whom make it to adulthood. Philippe, Anne, and Renee are the 3 children that perished in the fire. Jean marries Marguerite Short and has 13 children, 10 of whom make it to adulthood. Jacques does not marry, and at first it looked like he died at birth, but upon more research, it's thought that he might have been handicapped and was taken care of by one of his older siblings. Louis dies at 2 years of age. Nicolas marries Jeanne Poisson and has 7 children, 3 of whom make it to adulthood. There's an unnamed child born in 1688. Jean-Pierre dies at 3 years of age. And then we have Vincent, who dies at birth. Not an easy thing that they went through. Now, in their later years, Vincent dies on the 13th of September, 1715, at the age of 78, a remarkable achievement at that age. And Anne followed a short 4 years later on the 28th of July, 1719, at the age of 70. They are buried next to each other at the Saint-Jean Cemetery in Saint-Jean, the island of Orleans. They were blessed with a long life and, from all accounts, had a successful marriage that lasted about 40 years. Surviving the loss of their 3 children and continuing to grow their family is a testimony to their resilience and their commitment to each other. And I've included the monument that is found on the island of Orleans. And of course, Vincent Boissoneau and Anne Colin are indicated as pioneers of Ile d'Orléans. And so ends another episode of Les Filles du Roi. I've enjoyed getting to know Anne Colin and Vincent Boissoneau. And I will look forward to seeing you on another video, probably video number 24. Until then, au revoir.